The film begins in Russia with a prison transport vehicle carrying a number of inmates who are being transferred to a new high-security prison. However, before they reach the prison, they stop along the way at a gas station and the prisoners are let out to rest a bit from the exhaustion of the journey. Among these prisoners is one who has a skull tattooed on his neck, and we learn that this inmate's name is Kraven. When they arrive at the prison, Kraven finds himself assigned to share a cell with a very large inmate named Mofu. We learn that Mofu hates having anyone in his cell, and he tells Kraven that the longest anyone has ever stayed with him in the cell was 1 month. After that, he took them out. Kraven explains to him that he'll only be staying in this prison for 3 days. Mofu laughs and mocks him, saying that anyone who ends up in this prison is sentenced to life, but Kraven doesn't pay attention to what he says and goes to sleep. The next day, Kraven heads down to the prison yard and starts working out on equipment that belongs to the leader of the biggest gang in the prison. At that moment, the gang leader's men tell Kraven to stop using the equipment, but Kraven ignores them and keeps going. So they attack him to beat him up, but Kraven lifts them up and slams their heads down with force, and he knocks them unconscious. After that, one of the prison guards takes him to the gang leader. We find out that the gang leader has complete control over the prison. He tells Kraven that he made a mistake by attacking his men. Then he asks him if he knows who he is. The leader is surprised when Kraven tells him that he knows exactly who he is, and he tells him that his name is Simone, the leader of a major gang involved in trafficking contraband and weapons. And while Kraven is talking, he reaches out and secretly picks up the tiger fang from the ground without anyone noticing. Simone is puzzled that Kraven knows who he is and asks him who he is and what he does. Kraven tells him that he's a hunter and he hunts criminals like him. Suddenly, Kraven attacks Simone's men and takes them all out. Then he goes after Simone himself and kills him. When the guard comes in because of the noise, Kraven throws him off the floor they're on. Then Kraven moves at an incredible speed and climbs the prison walls effortlessly. It becomes clear that Kraven has superhuman strength, which allows him to run extremely fast and dodge the guards' gunfire as they try to kill him. Kraven manages to escape from the prison and keeps running until he enters a snowy valley. Suddenly he finds a wolf in front of him and prepares to attack it, but when the wolf looks at Kraven, it calms down and backs away. Kraven runs toward a plane that's waiting for him, and we discover that he had deliberately planned to enter the prison in order to eliminate Simone, the gang leader. Inside the plane, Kraven begins wiping the tattoo off his neck. At the same time, the prison guards find a body in the snow with the same tattoo on its neck, so they conclude that Kraven is dead. And of course, the case gets closed and we go back in time 16 years to learn Kraven's backstory. Kraven is with his brother in a boarding school in America, and at that moment a teacher comes in and tells them that their father named Nick has come to take them. They're surprised that their father is coming to get them at that particular time. After a short while, a luxurious car arrives and they get in. As soon as they see Nick, they ask him about their mother. He tells them that their mother took her own life, saying that she was weak and couldn't fight the illness to keep on living, and in the end she chose to give up. Dima asks if he came to take them so they could attend her funeral, but Nick replies that people like their mother don't deserve a funeral. Sadness appears on Kraven and Dima's faces because they know their mother always opposed Nick's actions. Because Nikki had become the leader of a major gang and was involved in trafficking contraband and weapons, when their mother got fed up with him, she locked herself away in a place by herself and decided to live far from him. At that time, Nikki talks to Kraven and Dima and tells them that he's going to take them on a hunting trip in Africa, promising that they'll really enjoy the trip. Then we move to Africa, where we see a little girl named Kali playing with her grandmother's deck of playing cards. Her grandmother comes over and tells her that these cards are used to see the future, and she lets her. She will draw 3 cards from the deck, and her grandmother explains to her that the first card says that when Kali grows up, she will be a seer like her grandmother. The second card says that she will witness a very painful event. The last card represents strength, and it shows a person standing next to a lion. Kali is surprised when her grandmother gives her a small vial containing a special liquid and tells her that this liquid can save anyone from death. Not only that, but it will also grant the person who drinks it extraordinary abilities. Meanwhile, Nick and his sons have started their hunting trip and are looking for a lion to hunt. As they search, they end up hunting other animals along the way. At that moment, Nick encourages Kraven and tells him that he needs to be brave and a skilled hunter. At the same time, it's noticeable that Nick is ignoring Dima and not talking about him at all. because he knows that he's afraid and not brave or strong like his brother. After that, one of Nick's men asks him to let him work with him in the gang business, and we find out that this person's name is Alex. But Nick mocks Alex and tells him that he's a coward and useless, and says that there's no way he could ever be one of his men because he wouldn't be of any use. And he tells him that he's only coming with them to show them the way through the forest, nothing more. At that moment, Alex gets upset by Nick's words and feels insulted. After that, Kraven and Dima are left alone in the forest. Suddenly, they come face to face with the lion they've been searching for. And it's a lion that's strong, massive, and looks terrifying. At that moment, Kraven points his rifle at the lion, but then Kraven and the lion lock eyes intensely as if there's a form of communication between them. So Kraven lowers his rifle and refuses to kill the lion. But suddenly, Nick appears and shoots the lion, hitting it in the back. This enrages the lion, and it attacks Kraven and bites him. Nick then fires a second shot and hits the lion in the leg, so the lion grabs him by his clothes and walks off with him. At that moment, Nick and the others with him don't know what to do because the lion disappears from sight quickly. Meanwhile, Kali is with her father and mother on a trip to photograph animals. But Kali isn't really paying attention to them. She's lost in thought, thinking about what her grandmother said. Suddenly, she hears the roar of the lion, so she leaves her parents and gets out of the car without them noticing, and she says, she keeps following the sound until she finds the lion holding Kraven and looking at her. It becomes clear that the lion is asking her to help Kraven. At that moment, a drop of blood falls from the lion and enters Kraven's body. After that, the lion leaves the place and walks away. So Kali understands that this is the moment she was meant for, the one her grandmother told her about. She takes out the magical liquid and gives it to Kraven to drink, and at that moment, a strange power enters his body. This happens because the liquid reacts with the lion's blood inside him. After that, Kaylee shouts at the top of her lungs to call for help, and indeed a helicopter arrives to take Kraven to the hospital. And before he leaves, Kaylee places the playing card with the image of the lion in Kraven's hand. When Kraven is transferred to the hospital, the doctors try to save him from death, but it's no use. Then he opens his eyes, and they're the exact same color as the lion's eyes. The next day, the doctor is confused about what happened to Kraven and tells him she's surprised he came back to life, especially after they had lost all hope that he would survive. At that moment, Dima arrives and hugs his brother, happy that he's okay. Then Nico arrives and insists that Kraven come back home with her. At home, Kraven finds a letter from his mother that she left for him before she died. In it, she tells him that she doesn't want him to become a gangster like his father. After that, Nico calls out to Kraven and scolds him for not shooting the lion. He tells him that he put his own life and his brother's life in danger because of his fear, and that he shouldn't be afraid of anything, because he's the one who will take over the gang after him. He takes him to another room and shows him the lion's head mounted on the wall after he killed it, but Kraven becomes very upset over the lion's death and gets angry at Nico, telling him that it should have been him who died, not the lion. He then leaves and goes to his room, clearly distressed. At that moment, he sees a falcon perched on the window looking at him, and it becomes clear that some kind of connection is happening between the falcon and Kraven. Kraven realizes that he doesn't belong in the house, that his place is among the animals in the wild. So he gathers all his things to leave the house, including the playing card that Kaylee left with him. While he's packing his clothes, the bottle of the magical liquid falls out, and that's when Kraven realizes that this liquid is what saved him from death. At night, Kraven escapes from the house, walking along the wall so his father won't notice him. But he falls off the wall, and to his surprise, he's completely unharmed. The next day, he arrives at the port, boards a ship, and heads to Russia. There, he goes to the place where his mother used to live before she died, but on the way, he encounters a herd of wild buffalo charging toward him. He stands his ground and tries to protect himself from them, but he's surprised when the leader of the herd stops in front of him and protects him until the entire herd passes by. Then the leader leaves and Kraven is left confused, not understanding what just happened. However, he starts to feel that there's a special connection between him and the animals. After that, Kraven continues on his way and reaches the place where his mother used to live, deciding to spend the rest of his life there. One day, while in the forest, Kraven makes a discovery. He realizes that he has an extremely sharp sense of hearing, and he's shocked. He sees a gazelle running and starts chasing after it, only to discover that his speed has become incredible, so much so that he can leap to great heights just like the gazelle. He also realizes that he can climb trees effortlessly, just like animals do, and on top of that, his vision has become extremely sharp, like that of a falcon. And he's able to see anything from far distances. At that moment, he spots two hunters killing wild buffalo and taking their horns. So he climbs down from the tree and rushes toward them. When he gets there, he becomes furious upon seeing a large number of dead buffalo in front of him. The hunters then tell him to leave or they'll kill him, but Kraven grabs a knife that's lying on the ground, moves with incredible speed, and attacks the hunters, managing to take them all down within seconds. At that moment, Kraven feels that this is his purpose in life, to rid the world of criminals and evildoers. In the present, Kraven snaps out of his memories while on the plane, and it's revealed that he's still holding on to the playing card. Then he gets off the plane and returns to the jungle once again. When he checks his phone, he finds a message from his brother Dima checking in on him and saying he's waiting for him to visit for his birthday like every year. After that, Kraven spots a gang killing wild buffalo and stealing their horns, but as they're heading back, they're surprised to find Kraven standing in front of them. Their leader speaks to him and tells him to get out of their way, warning him that they could take him out in seconds. Then they start driving the car toward him, but Kraven ducks underneath the vehicle, climbs up onto the back of the truck and takes out two of them. Then Kraven jumps into the driver's area and takes out both the driver and the man next to him. At that moment, their leader is shocked by what's happening and starts shooting at Kraven, but he can't hit him. So he quickly escapes the scene before Kraven can finish him off. Meanwhile, Kraven manages to catch the vehicle's license plate number. After that, the gang leader goes to his boss's office and informs him about what happened in the forest. He's shocked when he finds Kraven sitting at his boss's desk. Kraven is holding a notebook that contains the names of all the gang leaders they work with, along with the names of all their men. The man panics and tells Kraven that he's just following orders, nothing more. But Kraven ignores what he says and asks him for his name. As soon as he learns his name, he looks it up in the notebook. And when he finds it, he crosses it out and then kills him. After Kraven leaves the office, he finds the gang leader's body hanging behind the door. Meanwhile, we see Callie at the funeral of her closest friend, Danny. We learn that Callie is a lawyer and she's speaking to everyone at the funeral, telling them that her friend was killed by men working for Siboni, the mafia boss, because she investigated him and was about to expose all his crimes. Kraven appears nearby, watching her closely. After the funeral ends, he approaches her and hands her a playing card. Callie realizes that he's the boy she once saved. Kraven tells her that he took out Siboni and avenged her friend. Callie is surprised and asks him how he found her. He tells her that his job is to track people and find them. He's a hunter. He also tells her that he needs her help. When Callie returns home, she starts searching for Kraven online. She discovers that he really did take out Siboni, and she also finds a lot of news reports about gangsters being killed in brutal ways under mysterious circumstances. The reports say that the person behind these killings is someone called the Hunter. The next day, Callie meets with Kraven, and he tells her that he is the Hunter and that he gained superpowers on the day she saved him. He tells her that he knows she's a very skilled lawyer. He shows her the list he has, which includes the names of most of the major crime bosses. And he asks her to help him find their locations quickly to save time, because there are still other gang leaders out there and he wants to take them down. So she tells him that she'll think about it and get back to him later. Then we go to a gang leader named Alex, and he's wearing a backpack on his back and he never takes it off, and at that moment his assistant informs him that Simoni died in prison and that the one who did it was the Hunter. He also tells him that the Hunter has a list containing the names of the gang leaders. But Alex doesn't care about what he's saying and tells him that Simoni used to control a large portion of the market and that he needs to take over all that business for himself to expand his operations. He then asks him to arrange a meeting with the 3 strongest men from Simoni's crew. So the assistant follows his orders and arranges the meeting, and the 3 men come to meet him. At that point, Alex tells them that he wants one of them to be his partner in Simoni's business because he's decided to take over the operation for himself. But Simoni's men mock him because they don't want anyone sharing in their business. and they know that Alex is famously known as the Unicorn, but they don't know the reason behind why he calls himself that, so Alex decides to show them the extent of his power. That's when we find out that the bag on his back contains a device connected to his body. When Alex disconnects this device from himself, his appearance changes and one of Simone's men shoots him. But he's shocked to see that the bullets don't penetrate Alex's body because his body has become incredibly strong, like that of a unicorn. Then Alex stands up and effortlessly pulls the bullets out of his body. He reconnects the device to his body to return to his normal state. At that exact moment, a sniper working for Alex appears, and he takes out all of Simone's men, leaving only 2 of them alive. Alex tells them that one of them will become his partner. One of them quickly moves and kills the other. At that moment, Alex tells him that he is now the new gang leader instead of Simone. At night, we see Dima, your brother Riff, at the nightclub playing the piano. Nick is sitting with the new leader of Simone's gang and offers him protection and to handle the distribution of the goods in exchange for a share of the profits. It's clear that Nick wants to take control of Simone's gang and take over all their operations for himself. But he's surprised when the leader agrees to his proposal without any discussion, which makes him realize that he's being deceived, that the leader has already made a deal with someone else. Suddenly, a group of Alex's men show up and open fire on Nick and his crew, but Nick's men manage to take them all down. Dima is hiding under the piano, completely terrified. After the shootout ends, Dima goes to check on his father to make sure he's okay, but his father yells at him and calls him a coward for not defending him. After that, Alex finds out from his assistant what happened, and the assistant tells him that someone left a flash drive at his doorstep. Alex watches the flash drive, and it contains a video of Kraven escaping from prison. Alex realizes that Kraven is Nick's son, and that he's the hunter who's been killing gang members. So, he tells his assistant to contact a hitman named the Foreigner for a job, to take on the task of eliminating Kraven. The next day, the Foreigner begins his mission and heads to the prison Kraven escaped from, searching for any clue that could lead him to Kraven's whereabouts. But then, one of the prison guards shows up and points his weapon at him. That's when we discover that the Foreigner has the power of hypnosis. He puts the guard to sleep and takes his weapon without him noticing. After that, he finishes him off and leaves the place. At that moment, Kraven is in the city, climbing the building where his brother Dima's apartment is. He enters the apartment just as Dima is in the bathroom. Kraven suddenly appears and surprises him. Dima hugs him, overjoyed to see him, and tells him that he's going to take the whole day off and celebrate his birthday with him. At night, they go to a nightclub and have dinner together. Suddenly, Nico shows up and greets Kraven, but Kraven responds coldly. Then Nico wishes Dima a happy birthday and starts talking to Kraven, trying to convince him to come back and live with them again. But Kraven doesn't respond and completely ignores him. After dinner, Dima and Kraven return to the apartment, but Kraven can't sleep because he's used to sleeping in the forest. So he leaves the apartment and sleeps in the garden in front of the house. The next day, he goes out to say goodbye to his brother before leaving, but he discovers that a gang has kidnapped his brother. He gets extremely angry, jumps off the building and runs after the gang's car at full speed. He manages to catch up with it and tries to break the window, but realizes that it's bulletproof. So he uses his strength and breaks the car door, trying to reach his brother to rescue him. But the gang members start shooting at him, so Raven moves to dodge the gunfire and flips a car, yet he still continues chasing the gang and reaches a place where there's a helicopter pilot. The gang members had taken Dima into the helicopter and were about to leave the area, but Kraven runs toward them, grabs a net, hooks it onto the helicopter and tries to pull it down with all his strength. One of them shoots at him, so Kraven grabs a metal pipe, jumps into the air and throws it at him with full force. The pilot takes advantage of the situation and increases the helicopter's speed, but Kraven runs and grabs onto the net, hanging from it and continuing to pull with all his might to stop the helicopter from flying away. Even though he's in the sea and the helicopter is dragging him forcefully, he doesn't let go of the net and keeps resisting until he crashes into a rescue point and the net slips from his hand. Kraven gets extremely angry because he couldn't save his brother. He goes to Kaylee and tells her what happened, describing the appearance of one of the gang members so she can get him information. Kaylee calms him down and tells him she'll get back to him as soon as possible. So Kraven leaves her and goes to his father, only to be shocked that the gang has cut off Dima's finger and sent it to his father. They are demanding a ransom of $20 million. Kraven tells him to pay the money to get Dima back, but Nick refuses to pay and explains that if he does, it would make him look weak in front of the other gangs. Kraven gets upset by what he said and walks away. At the same time, Kali contacts someone she knows, and he tells her that the person who kidnapped Dima is a man named Omar and that he lives in Turkey. He gives her all the information about him, but after she leaves, we find out that this person is actually working with the foreigner. At that moment, the foreigner calls Alex and tells him that their plan is going exactly as they want. After ending the call, he eliminates the person who was helping him. Then Alex calls Omar and tells him that the hunter is coming for him and asks him to be ready with his men to take him down. After that, Kraven arrives in Turkey and climbs the building where the gang is located. As soon as he gets inside, he takes them out one by one until he reaches Omar. He asks him about his brother's whereabouts, and Omar tells him that the one who kidnapped his brother is Alex. But at that moment, Kraven sees a missile heading toward him, so he quickly jumps out of the building just moments before the explosion. He and Omar fall from a very high altitude and the debris of the entire building collapses on top of them. After that, Alexei's men arrive and search through the rubble for Kraven's body to make sure he's dead. But Kraven is still alive. He attacks them and kills them all. Then he calls Kaylee, tells her what happened and warns her that Alexei's men will definitely come looking for her. That's why he asks her to leave the place she's in and run away. He gives her directions to a specific location that would be safe. Kali follows his instructions and quickly leaves her job. At the same time, we see Dima with Alex. Alex talks to Dima and they reflect on the past, realizing that he is the same person who was with them in the forest when the lion attacked. They recall how his father humiliated and belittled him back then, and ever since he's wanted to take revenge and prove that he's better than his father. And he tells him the story of the device he's carrying on his back, saying that he happened to meet a doctor in London who managed to invent a method that granted him the power of a rhinoceros. This was so he could be strong and earn everyone's respect. While he's talking, the foreigner walks in and tells him that Kraven is still alive. He shows him a poisonous plant and explains that Kraven uses the poison from this plant in his weapons. They also find out that this plant only exists in one place, in the forests of Russia. With that, they now know Kraven's location and will be able to take him down. Then we cut to Kraven, who has arrived, either alone or with Kali, at the place where he lives deep in the forest. But Kali is shocked when she sees Fadi attacking Kraven, and the two of them engage in a fierce battle. But in the end, we discover that Kraven and the leopard are actually friends. They were just playing together. At the same time, Alex and the foreigner arrive at a location near Kraven's home. At that moment, Alex forces Dima to call his brother, and when Kraven answers, Alex takes the phone from him and speaks to Kraven, telling him that he knows Kraven hates his father just as much as he does. He offers him to work together and unite against his father, but Kraven doesn't respond and ends the call. So Alex and his men head toward Kraven's house, and as soon as they arrive, they pull out all the weapons they have and get them ready. But suddenly, Kraven's leopard attacks them, taking out a large number of them before running into the forest and disappearing. Dima takes advantage of the chaos and escapes from the scene. After that, Kraven starts taking down Alex's men one by one. When Alex hears the screams of his men, he realizes that Kraven has taken them out, so he gives orders for the helicopter to intervene. The helicopter attacks Kraven and fires multiple missiles at him, but none of them hit. While Kraven is trying to escape the missiles, the foreigner shoots him in the stomach with a tranquilizer arrow. Kraven starts hallucinating and falls into a state of unconsciousness. The foreigner approaches him and is about to kill him, but Kaylee suddenly appears and shoots the foreigner with her arrow, finishing him off. Then she approaches Kraven and finds that he's about to die, so she takes out the magical liquid and gives him some to drink. Moments later, Kraven regains consciousness and his condition improves. He tells her that he was sure she still had some of that liquid. At that moment, Alex and the rest of his men believe that Kraven is dead. But suddenly a herd of wild buffalo charges at them, so Alex removes the device from his body to avoid being affected by the impact. The buffalo herd indeed attacks the vehicles, destroying them along with all of Alex's men inside. Kraven is with the herd trying to reach Alex. At that moment, Alex transforms into a rhinoceros and charges at Kraven, landing extremely powerful blows. It's clear that Alex is much stronger than Kraven, but Kraven stabs him in the spot where the device was implanted in his abdomen. This affects Alex and weakens his strength, so Kraven seizes the opportunity, moves quickly, ties Alex up with a large rope, and throws him into the middle of the wild buffalo herd. They all ram into him and trample him. After that, Alex falls to the ground on the verge of death. But before he dies, Alex confesses the truth to Kraven and tells him that his father is behind everything that's been happening, and that he sent him a video of Alex escaping from prison to make him chase after him, find his location, and finish him off. At that moment, Dima arrives and tries to shoot Alex, but Kraven stops him and tells him that he's not a criminal like him. He takes the gun from him, and by then, Alex has already died. Sometime later, we see Kraven with his father in the forest, confronting him with the truth he learned from Alex. Nick confirms what Alex said and tells him that he knew he was the hunter because of the way he killed the gang leaders. He says that Alex was his biggest rival and that he couldn't take him down on his own. Nick goes on to say that if he had asked him to take out Alex, he would have refused. That's why he came up with a plan to make it look like Alex was the one hunting Kraven, so that Kraven would defend himself and eliminate Alex, and in the end, Nick would be the one who won. Kraven is surprised by what his father says and tells him that he put his own son's life in constant danger. But Nick tells him that he knew he would save him. Then Kraven says that he took out all the gang leaders except him, and that even now he still can't do it because he's his father. Then he leaves him and walks away, but suddenly Nick sees a bear coming toward him. He grabs his gun to shoot it, but finds that the gun is empty with no bullets. We find out here that Kraven is the one who emptied the gun. Kraven continues on his way as he hears his father screaming. A year later, Kraven goes to visit Dima at the nightclub to celebrate his birthday with him, but he pays. He's surprised when he sees Dima dealing with Nasser from the Mafia, and he's shocked to discover that Dima is the one who took over all his father's work after his death. Dima responds and tells him that he went to a doctor in London, and that doctor helped him overcome his fears and become a different person. Then he leaves the place, so Kraven follows him to continue their conversation, but he's stunned when he sees Dima transforming into his exact likeness. Then he returns to his real form and tells him that the doctor made him like a chameleon, able to take on any shape he wants. He explains that within a year he managed to eliminate all the rival gangs and became the biggest crime boss in Russia. But Kraven tells him that he won't let him get away with it and will stop him. Dima replies that he's waiting to see what he'll do. And he advises him that before doing anything he should go home because his father left him a message. So Kraven goes home and reads his father's message, in which he tells him that he doesn't regret anything he did and that he's very proud to have a strong son like him. Kraven is surprised to find that his father made him a jacket from lion's fur, so he puts on the jacket, sits in front of the mirror, and prepares for the new war against his brother. And that's where the movie ends.